Hello, I'm Heather, and I am going to share some nuggets of wisdom from Corinne as well, even though she's not physically here. A lot of this inspiration came from her. We talk on Marco Polo frequently because it is a really easy way for us to stay in touch. We don't have to schedule a particular time. We can get to it when we get to it, respond when we respond. We get to still see each other's faces and hear each other's voices. And every once in a while, one of us will make a video on Marco Polo that we put on here. But currently, all the ones that I just watched this morning from Corinne were ones that she didn't want me to put directly on here, but I can still take some of the incredible wisdom that she shared. So I think what I'll do is I'm gonna take some deep breaths first. Calm down a little bit. Okay. So I have some notes here in front of me. I'm going to kind of keep an eye on the time because I like to keep these short. And so I'd rather make multiple videos than one long one. So one of the key things that I want to make sure I talk about is recognizing the fucking incredible difference a year makes, even if it feels like nothing's changing at the time, and the progress is so slow and incremental that it feels just absolutely astoundingly awful. So a year ago today, and I'm sure I'm going to get emotional because it's still a lot of unprocessed, like really difficult stuff. So a year ago today, I was about ready to move out of my house, which I had thought I was going to stay in until at least this summer, when my daughter was originally going to graduate from high school. On the 31st, on July 31st of 2020, my daughter moved in with her best friend's family, which was absolutely the best possible move for all involved. And still so heartbreaking because I thought we were going to stay together until at least this summer of 2021. So that was one thing. In June of 2020, or May, I can't remember which, I had rehomed. God, I wish I had Kleenex right here. I had rehomed my dog that I had had since she was a puppy, more than 10 years. She's now with her retirement mommy. Earlier in June of 2020, my boyfriend had broken up with me. And I still had no idea in July of 2020, I still had no idea if I was even going to qualify for unemployment. So I had zero income. Yeah, I was really in a very, very difficult space this time last year. I went and lived with my mom in her basement for about a month in 2020, and it really was kind of a rebirth experience. I felt like living in her basement where I could hear her and her husband moving around and living their lives, and yet she was still feeding me, and we were talking regularly and connecting regularly, but I spent a lot of time in the basement. It felt like I was in her womb again. And I was reborn out of my mother's home. I moved back to Portland, I think in September of 2020. So now, a year later, my daughter is getting ready to move to Eugene soon. She got her GED in March of 2020. So she graduated before way earlier than we anticipated and before the world shut down. So that was perfect timing. My dog's retirement mommy sends me beautiful photos every now and then, just little updates about how they are, and they're both just absolutely loving being together. In August, no, I think it was more like September of 2020, my boyfriend and I got back together. And now we live together, and our relationship is evolving into a long-term partnership. which was something that we didn't originally anticipate. But when we got back together, it was a completely new relationship than the first year and a half or so had been. And I now have income. I did qualify for unemployment, and I am back to rideshare driving a little bit at a time, so that by the time unemployment's gone altogether, I will have the capacity, if I need it, to drive full time again, which is not my preferred work, but for a while, it's okay. um, yeah. So at the time, this time last year, it really felt like I don't know how I was going to make it through. I didn't know how I was going to put one foot in front of the other and keep going. And Corinne was reminding me that it was similar for her. Like we really need to go back and watch some of the videos that we made this time last year because, whew, I just look at us and like, oh my God, we look like shit. Like, you could tell that we were both under a tremendous amount of stress and duress. And it's not like the stress has gone away. The world is still extraordinarily chaotic and difficult to navigate. And but we're both noticing that we're navigating it differently and enjoying it differently, and able to process our own emotions. Even the really, really big ones, much better than we used to be able to. And feel some hope again with consistency. But one of the big things that Corinne and I both have in common, and I know we're not the only ones. I actually, there's a pretty core group of women that I talk to on a regular basis, and they are frequently saying a lot of the same things that Corinne and I are saying and feeling and experiencing. And one of them is this very high and very low, mostly low experience of, to the point where, like, a week or so ago, I was talking to my therapist and I'm just crying. I'm just like, I don't know, I'm going to keep going. And I can't even like pull up the intensity right now of what it felt like. But just darkness and hopelessness and on the verge of suicidal ideation again. And he asked me a really good question. He said, does it feel like that all day, every day? And when I paused and took some deep breaths, I realized, actually, no. Actually, every day at some point, I actually feel really good. Whether it's, being in contact with somebody who I really enjoy, or over dinner with my beloved and just, we're just eye gazing and being all cute, and whatever it is, there's always something really beautiful, really nourishing and restorative every day, even on the days that are really fucking awful. So I don't have complete days of hell anymore. But the challenge is when I'm in that hell space, it feels like it's going to go on forever. It's never going to stop. I'm going to be stuck here for fucking ever. I'm in the long haul of just not knowing if I can survive any more of this. And then when I'm not in that space, I'm like, what was my problem? Like, why was I so like convinced that everything was shit and that I may not be able to survive? Like, what the fuck? Like, it's a pretty wide swing in a pretty short period of time. So, yeah. We're not the only ones who are feeling that way. And that's part of why I want to talk about it, is because every time I tell someone else, oh my God, I totally do that too. I totally feel the same way. Whatever that thing is that we're talking about, almost 100% of the time they're like, oh, it's not just me. I'm not the only one. You feel that way too? And you have other friends who feel that way too? I'm like, yeah. Okay. So this 10 minutes went a lot faster than I anticipated. So I am going to stop here and come back and start another one. I also feel the need to shake my body and make some sound. Ow, that's really tight muscles. As I think Corinne and I shared on her Marco Polos that I was watching this morning, she's like, "You want to hear my sounds that I make and see my faces?" So I think that's another part that we need to talk about more, is making more sound when we're feeling extremely emotional and making the fucking crazy faces. It's okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go move some energy and I'll be back in a little bit. Okay. Stop.